Year to everyone. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Listen, I haven't been on here for a minute. I've been doing some things. Thank God some blessings have came my way, bestowed my way. So I have definitely have been, on a mission, a good mission to make this thing happen. And remember, guys, we only live once that we know of. So you got to make it prosperous and you got to make it good. You got to do what you can and make it good. Also, I like to say that, in 2025, a lot of things happened as far as hip hop was concerned. And, it's like people are getting this weird idea that the things that are happening now affect the creation of hip hop. So for 2026, like the young people say, I'm gonna be putting up the receipts. I'm gonna be definitely putting up the receipts for the creation of hip hop. A lot of times, also, that we have to get this straight. My channel is the culture sense, and so there's a lot of times people make comments and stuff on that channel and say about things that happen after the creation of hip hop. But for the actual creation of hip hop, I'm getting so many calls. Like people are calling me. I'm on a live right now, and people are just calling me. So that's what you're hearing during my live is the people that are calling me instead of just coming on to the live. But anyway, so like I was saying, so people are saying these things that happen after the creation of hip hop. Now, which we don't knock me, my channel, or the culture. We don't say anything about uh after the things that attended after the creation. What we talk about is the creation of hip hop. So people get mad at me and at the channel because in the creation of hip hop, of course, everybody couldn't be there. It's impossible for everybody to have been there during the creation of it. Now, after it was created and people come into it, they're joining into the creation, not creating it, they're joining into the creation. And that's the problem. People want to take credit for the creation of it, which it's just impossible. Everybody at one time couldn't just say, okay, we're going to create hip hop and that's what it is. People cannot do that. It just didn't happen. So we're joining and we're trying to get out the actual program into which it was created. Oh wow, it sounds like my TV is up a little bit too loud. Let me turn that down. So I'm actually on the road. I just did the I did the Times Square uh, thing, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Hold on. Let me get that off. Okay, now, so back to what I was saying. So now, going back to the creation of it. Now, listen, I'm just going to keep it a buck. I'm going to keep it 100. I I think the problem today with people getting upset and saying how the contributions went, uh because number one, like I was already explaining to you, there was very limited people there for the creation. Okay, so that's number one thing. So let's talk about the creation. Let's talk about it. Let's break it down to the lowest form. Let's lowest denominator. We're going to break it down. Okay, music. Music. Um, what we were listening to, what kind of music was out, what kind of music was say underground, what kind of music was making us the creators jam, what was making us dance, what was making us feel good, what kind of music was that? So what I can say for me, because I was part of the eight or the nine, for me it was the stuff that my parents had, the records and the music that my parents had. And so from young age, that's all I had. I had my parents' music. And so that music was funk, soul, which wasn't, we they didn't consider it R&B back then, rhythm and blues. They just they hold on. Oh wow. Hold on. Someone wants to get added. I'm gonna add them. I'm gonna add them. Okay. Peace, King. Peace.
Peace.
Yo,
Peace to the kings.
I was in the middle of explaining them to the audience what hip hop, where it came from and the creation of it. So I had just got to the place where I was talking about my parents' record collection and what we used to listen to. One of the things that I was just into was just saying to is back in the 60s and the early 70s, it wasn't considered R&B. It would have been just rhythm and blues. It wouldn't have been abbreviated. It would have
Soul
been
music.
right. It would be soul music. Hit it on the head. And so that's where the creation of hip hop comes from. It
Right.
comes from that genre, those genres, and that style. So now you got to remember, this is the whole thing too, that only not only that music, but that whole vibe came with things. It came with soul dressing. It came
Yes.
with soul language. It came with soul representation.
Facts.
Okay, so that's where it came from. So now let's go back to culture. All right, our culture is different from any other culture.
It's a
Our
fact.
culture is, I was thinking about it the other day. Some cultures will never have that smell of someone straightening, combing somebody's hair in the kitchen
Collard
before going to
greens.
church and got the Dax grease and all of that. Some cultures will
Dax.
never experience that. So they wouldn't know what that the foundation of that, what that felt like, what that vibe felt like. And
New
if that's
now.
not in their culture,
Hmm.
okay, they don't know that our parents and our women, once they get their hair pressed out and everything, they sleeping on the bed like this because they don't want their
Right.
hair to get messed up. And
That's a
so
fact.
another culture would not feel that, and they would not understand that.
Yep.
And so those are the things that molded and created what we know as hip hop. So
Yes.
for the other cultures to come in and say that they were a part of that creation is just not cipher, because it's just that's not how they don't have that in them. Okay, so now go ahead with those records, because this is where I get the chills inside of me. So our culture playing those records at a young age, what does the parent tell the kid to do? To dance, to show that dance, show that funky move, to show that. And
Right.
so our culture has that in them already, without a doubt. I mean, so I mean, I'm sure you can remember them saying to you, "Go, Vaddy Vad, go." You do show that for mama, show that and everything. And that's where our culture starts, and that's where for us as a young baby, that's where it starts. That's where you get that feeling. That's where that thing comes in at. Is at that point. So that's one thing that we can definitely say. Now,
James Brown and the Jackson Five. Just
James Brown, Jackson 5, Otis Redding. Oh my God, I can go on. Picnic Markham. I can just go on.
right.
Uh, I could go on for days. But that's what I'm saying. So that remembering the first time you saw James Brown perform, and he do the split. And the first time you saw Michael Jackson doing his dance and all that stuff, and now that we do have access to a lot of old footage that we didn't see,
Right.
I can't believe the amount of dances that was started from James Brown and from the Jackson Fives and the
Right.
moves and stuff. And so that's our culture.
That's a
Okay.
fact.
And so the problem becomes in is when other cultures say that they were a part of the creation that built that.
Right.
And I'm please don't think, all my audience is listening right now. Don't think that I'm separating and I'm pointing at things, but I just because we're talking about the music part of it.
Right.
So we were not dancing to salsa, to Spanish music. We were not doing that. I don't remember having that calypso or anything in our collection, in my parents' collection. I don't remember that. So we were not dancing to that. We were not dancing to reggae or something. We didn't know about reggae, and this is at a young age. And I'm talking about the
Yeah.
creation of hip hop. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the creation of hip hop. So we didn't have that. We didn't have reggae, and we didn't have other musics, and so we didn't know their culture. All right. So us as kids, as young kids, we cannot say that that's where it came from. We cannot say that that was a part of our culture. We cannot say that. So for the Puerto Ricans and the Jamaicans that say to us that they were down with us right at that thing, that's just it's not true, because they were not. Yes, they might have we
Man,
might have seen them or whatever. Yes, we might have seen them. That's not true, but they weren't a part of us, what we were doing. And
they
that's
was
the
they was around, but it wasn't a direct influence. But they were around. Just
even and like I
grips.
said, a fact is that New York is a melting pot. All right. So we got people from Cambodia. We got people from China, Russia, India, Australia, Germany. We have all of those people in this melting pot. So
But they weren't
just
in the
because,
projects with us.
just because
You
they
heard?
were there, exactly. Well, some of them were. Some of them were. They were just sketched out. Sketched out. Like you go to this project, might be two or three of them in there. Go to this project, it's just sketched out. But the
Like,
problem is that because they were there, what does that have to do with the creation of our creation? Has absolutely nothing to do because they were there with anything. So just like anything else. Let's say, and I hate to say it, but just say that somebody was in the building and they plan to do some devilish shit, some devilish fucked up shit, right? Because you're in the building, are you a part of the devilish shit that they was gonna do? No,
right.
no. And that's what you have to say. You have to say, yes, okay, somebody could be standing right there. You could be standing right there, but they don't have the idea, they don't have the culture, they don't have anything that makes that person do what he did. And so that's where the problem is. So Puerto Ricans and Jamaicans especially get mad at me because I didn't say include them and say this was a part of the creation because I'm not gonna lie and say you was there when you wasn't there. And so that's just a little bit of part of, and I'm gonna prove and show that for 2026. All right, I've been on a hiatus. I haven't been on and that, but it's just 2026 is going to be different. All right, I guarantee
Right.
you, I'm going to be different. All right, so hey, listen, if y'all feel like I'm saying something wrong, just say it. Say it. Don't hide. Don't be and all in the background. I'm an upfront dude. Y'all, everybody, y'all know I'm straight up, bring it to you straight to the face. You know what I mean? I don't have to hide and do these little innuendos and all of that stuff. Nah, I don't do that. Nah, no, I'm not down with that. All right, so now let's go back to the because the music part of it. Let's go back to the MC, master of ceremony, that part. Now, this is something, and I'm telling you guys, I don't know how many people is listening to my live right now, but I'm gonna say it right now and watch from this day on how it goes. All right, here we go. People look at what we were doing and match it with the dozens. All right, the dozens, and the dozens, believe it or not, was created down south, and in Chicago. That's where the dozens, saying the dozens. Now, this is the difference. This is where y'all gonna get like, oh snap. The dozens was based on rhyming. Rhyming. When you said the dozens, you said something that rhymed. And that was it. Like your head is so big and smelling on your feet, and that's why you know you cannot be, or something like that. And that was the rhyme of the dozens.
Your mother's so fat, she jumped up in the air and got stuck.
And that's a snap. That's a snap. That's not the dozens. That's
Right.
a snap.
Okay,
And
I got you.
that's the difference, brother. And I'm glad you just said that. That's the difference. So with us, right? We wasn't even thinking about it rhyming. We was just saying, yo, your mom's got your whole living room set from Corvettes and Pathmark. And that was it. That was the snap. So you had
Right.
to come back better. You had to come back better with a better snap. These people can't take that. The people can't take the snaps, and that's what happened. That's it. Now, I'm gonna tell you another thing, and this is true story as well. So why we take credit in our projects for even saying the word snap, why we take is because this is how it happened for us. We were doing a party, a birthday party for somebody in my group, right? And we were young kids, young, right? And so we had to have a chaperone by parents, by parents. You can't just have kids, little kids having a birthday party without having someone chaperoning, right? So these parents were sitting at a card table playing cards. That's what they do. That's what our parents, playing and talking junk, right? So we snapping on each other, or whatever, and making each other like some of us was crying or whatever because we making them feel so bad or whatever, and we doing that. So now the kids that was crying, their parents was looking at us and telling us, "Stop! Y'all better stop doing that. We better not hear y'all doing that, or we gonna stop the party." All right, so we better not hear y'all talking about each other anymore. Remember, we better not hear
Right.
you guys talking about each other. So we came up as little kids to go, okay, so let's say I'm talking about somebody's nappy hair. What we would do is we would do the thing in the back of the head, like BDBs in the back of the head, point at the person, and then snap. And so we would get it. We would know what was going on, but the parents didn't hear us say so. All they saw was the finger and the snap. And that's where we, Bronxdale, came up with. And that's what and then from there, it went
Okay.
from your cousin tell your cousin, and your cousin tell their cousin, and next thing you know, it's in Brooklyn. Next thing you know, it's in Harlem. Next thing you know, it's in Queens. Next thing you know, it's in London. Because we had for each just like right now, you have cousins that live in the Bronx. You have cousins that live in the Queens. You have cousins that live in Brooklyn. All right. So now the MCing part of it for this, what is called hip hop, is we did that over music. Okay. And why it was, what was our thing was that we were in the comfort of the apartment and the security of the apartment. So we did the music out the window. And so we could snap on the older kids, we could snap on anybody we want because we're in the security of our apartment. Okay, so we can talk about the big, the baddest bully. We can talk about him. We in the apartment. He can't get us. So what? Okay, yeah. So what? He might have us running the next day. He might be chasing us the next day. But on this day, we had him. All right, we going to snap on him and we're going to talk about him. And that's how the MCing became
Got number
over
time.
the music. And
Hmm.
so yeah, brother. I hear you. You got something coming through.
What's that?
Yeah, mute your thing and then mute it and then come back.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So that's how the MCing of it came about. That's how the MCing came about of it. All right. So now remember, hold on. So now remember when we're doing this. and the music is going on, it seems like what we were trying to do was we were trying to emulate Pig Meek Markham. All right. Now, a lot of people, and you have to really go back and look 10 years ago, before I mentioned on our channel, before I mentioned Pig Meek Markham, a lot of people did not know about Picnic Markham. They didn't. And that's just straight facts. You go back and you look at it. You look at that video that I started saying, and I said Picnic Markham. All right. So people did not know who Picnic Markham was until I said that. After that video, then it became known about Picnic Markham. It became known, and then it was like, oh, like they had already known that, which I said on the video, that people take that information and use it for their own. And that's what happened with hip hop in general. Okay. Um, I don't want to stay on the MC part of it too much because I want to hit each each topic, and then I'm gonna go and get questions. My moderator Riri, I hope she's on here watching it, and I want her to be my moderator, but I'm not set up like that right now. I'm not set up for her to be the moderator, but that's usually my moderator, and that's how I have to do it. And I will listen. Like I said, I'm on the move right now, so I will set up and come with the next part of it. I will come and I will say and let people know, have a moderators and let it go through that. Okay, so I don't want to stay on MCing that much longer. Okay, so now let's go to the next part of it, because these, what you want to say, if you want to say elements or whatever, these things were never elements to us. This was just a part of what we were doing. Okay, it's a part of what we were doing. So now the dress, the style in which we were doing, the style. Now, a lot of these people claiming that they're the creators and they were doing it, they wasn't there. They wasn't there. They didn't have the styles. They didn't know the styles. They didn't do that. We were hustlers. Even if our parents or our parent or whatever were not making the monies that they were, that we considered a good salary, we did. We had our own money and Bronx there as kids. So if y'all can say, if somebody else can say that they did that and they had good, great. But I know what we had. I know that we had Pathmark. I know that we used to take the change from Pathmark and pitch pennies. I know that for a fact because I did that. Okay, I know that. I know that we were packing bags and taking people's bags to the cars and getting 25, $50. I know that as kids. So I know that. So the people that don't understand why we might have had desert boots, rips, British Walkers, Playboys, all of those things, AJs, overlaps, shark skins, scabdine, mock necks, V necks, suede pockets, quarter fields, all of that stuff for the people that say that y'all were too young to have that, those are the haters. And those are the people that really was not there because they couldn't experience nothing like that. You understand? You feel me? And so that's where you can see right off the bat, you can see who was there and who wasn't really there. See, they would know about those styles. They would know how we rocked them. Okay, because remember, you got to keep it 100. You got to keep it 100. I brought out a thing and I said how we actually brought out 69ers. Okay. And then in the comments, one of the guys said, "Oh, I know you can't even say that y'all was the ones that created pro kids and all of that stuff." No, that's not what I said at all. They were in existence. Pro kids were in existence. And this is the part that people are so don't, and you could tell where they don't know. Super Pro kids came out before 69ers. Okay. And all of those people, haters, were to say that they were there would know that. All right. When pro kids were out, before we started rocking 69ers, because this is what I'm trying to get to, y'all, and y'all are so smart but don't know. The reason why 69ers picked up is because we were rocking them. Now, this is the part when they both were out in the beginning, they were considered skips. I, the sneakers to have in those days were BF Goodrich and Converse. 69ers and Pro Cats were skips. They were skipped. So all of y'all cornballs to be like to say, "Oh, Faye said that he created 69ers and all of that stuff." And then that's why you just don't know. And so every time you put those comments up, we all, us, the real G, the real people that know, look at you like, "Yo, you don't even know what you hate and you trying to jump on the bandwagon because you don't know." So now remember, they came out before 69 and before the 70s. So in the 70s is when we call Pro Kids 69ers. That's when they became 69ers. Obviously, it wasn't in 69. It was after in the 70s. And that's when we called them 69ers. Oh, God. It's so crazy. And so now, watch. You just watch how they going to take that, try to switch it over and say, "Yo, Fame said to him." No, we got them and we started rocking them. Then when we got them, when people started rocking those, the regular joints, we came up and found the vinyl joints. Then when we had the vinyl joints and people started getting the vinyl joints, then we found in Jersey, all right, at a store called Two Guys that people didn't even know about, but it was called Two Guys in Paramus. All right, we got the Suede Pro Kids. All right, and once we was rocking the Suede Pro Kids, boom, that took off. Okay, so now I'll tell y'all about that. Now, this is something that people don't know either. The reason why we were getting The safari, and this is where I know who's real G and who's not. The reason why we were getting the safari shorts to go with the tube socks wasn't for style. It wasn't. There was two things that the safari pants had for us to why we bought them. Number one thing, it had a secret pocket and a knife clip. Okay, I know I'm missing y'all with that, right? Y'all don't know, but the safari pants had a secret pocket and a knife clip. So you could take the clip, put your knife on it, because remember, the 007 and the lion knife had the Boy Scout knife and the Swiss Army knife had the clip that you could hang it onto something. So the first safari pants, or which those we're not talking about camouflage. So that's where y'all gonna run with that and say, "Oh, the camouflage pants." No, no, no. They weren't camouflage. They were either blue, black, or olive green. That's it. Okay. All right. So now it had the knife clip that you could put on the inside, and so even if you got patted down, they probably wouldn't have felt it. They wouldn't have felt it because it's on the inside. They were trying to go into your pockets and it had the pockets in it. So they wouldn't know. So we were able to have a knife in those safari pants to go where we wanted to go and feel safe. That's how we felt. It was kids. They didn't know no better. But anyway, okay, that's number one. Number two, because of doing karate. See, people don't understand what the karate gi is for. And that's another old thing. But people don't understand what the karate gi is for. Why wear a karate gi? All right, when you're practicing karate, there's a reason why the karate gi is shaped the way it's shaped and flexible the way it's flexible. So the safari pants gave us some of those options that the karate gi had. Okay. So now we were able to do the karate moves, which I'm going to go into, the karate moves and do what we needed to do. Now, where does the karate come in with the breakdancing? Ah, ah, okay. That helicopter move that is so popular with breakdancing, that helicopter move is what, people? That's a karate sweep. It wasn't created to do what we did with it. It was a sweep. And so that revolving move means that you can sweep more than one person. Okay, you can sweep the one person in front of you. You can sweep the person that's on the side of you. You can sweep a person that's in back of you, and that's what that move came from. But that's another story. I'll go into that later. Okay, and so now remember we're talking about the music part of it. We talked about the dancing part of it. We talked a little bit about the dress, the fashion of it. Okay, so let's get it together. When those things happen, the people that are saying that they created it, right? What did they do? Were they the ones that took the music and put it on and did the stuff? Were they the ones that grabbed the microphone and got on there and snapped and said something? where they're the ones that said, okay, look, this is how we're dressing, and you should dress like that. You should do that. That's your fat. Is that a part of it? Okay, so now I'm going to hit y'all with something, and y'all going to be so mad. Where did graffiti come from? Where did it come from? Oh, how is it into hip hop? What is it into hip hop? In the creation of hip hop, the creation of it, to be honest, there was no graffiti. Just wasn't. All you guys could say, yes, there was so much graffiti that, yes, the spade emblem was there. Yeah, it was there. It was there way before hip hop was created. Putting your name on a desk at school. Putting your carving your name into a tree. Years before, that's graffiti. Taking the match and making a smoke in the elevator and putting your name on the elevator. Facts. That's been there. So that wasn't a part of the creation of hip hop. When hip hop was created, we wasn't thinking about writing our name for what? There was no need. It got introduced to hip hop when the flyer came out. Okay? Which the flyer came out way after hip hop was created. Okay? The flyer came out way after it. Way after it. So saying that graffiti was a part of the creation of hip hop is wrong. It's just wrong. There was nothing, graffiti had nothing to do with the creation. And then, even then, after the flyers, it was still reintroduced. And do you know how it was reintroduced? When it was painted on people's clothes. Remember that? Remember having your jacket, your name in your jacket in graffiti? Or having it on the side of your pants in graffiti? That's when it got introduced to hip hop. Okay? That's when. So it didn't even become, so if that's the case, everything that we did or whatever would have been said that it's the creation and it's the part of hip hop. But that's not, as you can see, as I brought it to you right now, and watch how it goes until everybody starts saying it and everything now. And that's what Barnsdale does. Barnsdale, very much innovators. They're very much innovators. And so it always continues after Barnsdale did it and does it. And then the people that continue it want to take credit for it. And that's just it. That's just it. You can't say that it's because of this and that. That's just it. That's just how it is. So, all right. So we talked about the music. We talked about the MCing. We talked about the fashion. We partly talked about the graffiti. Okay, but which is not an element as what you can actually see. So going back and seeing like the comments from our past things, you have to understand this. If you see a multi-billion-dollar I don't need want to call it event, but if you see a multi-billion-dollar culture, because I'm gonna call it culture right now, you want to be a part of it. That's number one. So if there's nothing that you can say that actually puts you a part of the creation of it, because we're not talking about the aftermath of it. We're not talking about what happened after. But if you're not a part of that creation of it, then that's when jealousy and envy come in. And what brings jealousy and envy? It don't have to be about the money that you have. It doesn't have to be about the people that you know. It doesn't have to be about that. It's the fact that people listen and understand it better and get a better understanding of something that they love. And that's what it is. So we look at all the haters on our channel, we look at the haters as viewers. Okay. That's what we look at them as. We don't look at them as, okay, you hating the da 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 da. No. We look at them as viewers because if you notice, every single thing that we do, everything we do, they're there watching every time. We could be getting on there talking about slop, pig slop. They're watching. And then they're commenting and saying so because those are the ones that wish they were a part of the creation. But it's already created. We can't go back in time and place them there and say you're a part of it. No, we can't do that. So just like we're programmed in so much other things in life, we were programmed to believe something. Imagine being programmed to think that hip hop started one way, and then here comes these other guys to tell the truth about how it really was started. Then it's like, oh my God, like where did these guys come from? Why are they saying this? This is not how it's supposed to be, and this is terrible. And that's what's happening. But you're not going to stop us. You're not, no matter what, you're not going to stop us from saying the truth. You're just not. Okay. So people, I know I got probably, oh my goodness. There's so many things here and I can't do it all. See, I need my, oh man, I need y'all so much to be able to help me answer these questions and stuff. Okay, so now we talked about the music of it. We talked about those different things, the MC and everything. Now, what happened? How did that become hip hop? And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you part of it. I'm going to tell you. So, in our projects, we had Mario. Okay. Now, remember, I didn't even call what they call him now. We had Mario. For those who don't know and know the where it came, the history of Mario or everything, we had Mario. That's number one. Number two, us, the ones that created it, were baby spades. For those that don't know what the baby spades are, we're the youngest members of the black spade. Okay? We're the youngest members of the black spades. Now, this is where it gets so crazy. Remember, like I just said, we're baby spades. All right? So, baby spades were not teenagers. Young spades were the beginning part of teenagers, and then black spades were teenagers. This is in the creation of it. So the teenagers were separate from us because they were teenagers and we were kids. We were the little kids of it. So what we were doing, the teenagers didn't necessarily think was cool. Okay. They didn't necessarily think that us jumping around on the floor and doing that and snapping on them, because that's what we were doing. We were snapping on them, the older people, and run. So we'll snap on somebody and run in a heartbeat because they'll chase us down or whatever. So they didn't necessarily like what we were doing. But Mario did. And the difference of this is why people don't understand what the importance of Mario was. See, Mario saw the future of things. You understand? So just like 123, the famous 123 jam, right? All those pioneers and all of those people that take so much credit for doing hip hop and everything, they would never, ever had been involved with 123 if it hadn't have been for Mario going to get it to be able to play music in this historical place. But Mario had the vision of knowing that he could get a group of people together and each one of those people could pay 50 cents, 75 cents, and $1 to get in. And the more people that he could get into that place, the more money we could have. And now that is genius. That's what these record companies do from then on. And so that was why Mario was so important. So he took us kids, the ones that the teenagers were saying, oh, that's stupid, oh, that's dumb, and gave us a chance to play what we were telling him to play and doing what we were telling him to do as far as what we now know is hip hop. No other DJ that I know, if there's one, bring them up, let us know, that would let the kids do that. No other DJ. And I know all the DJs, all the DJs, they sell Pete DJ Jones and all of those DJs, Flowers, all of those DJs, Hollywood, all of those DJs I know personally. And none of them wanted us to play what we were playing. Okay? They thought, and this was the famous, any real true hip hop person that was there for the creation knows that this is what we heard at all times. Why we keep playing that little piece part of the record instead of letting the record go? Why are we not playing that? Why are we just not letting the whole record play out? Why are y'all kids doing that? That was the argument that they gave us. For all those DJs now, they say, oh, they was a part, they brought this out. They did no. No. And I'll tell them to their face. And I ask them, did you not tell us why, and ask us why were we playing just this little part of the record? Anybody, I don't care. Y'all, all of those people that see in this video right now, you call that video, that person, that DJ, and you tell them you ask me in front of you, ask me in front of you, and I'll tell them, I ask them the same question. Did you not say back then, why are we only playing that little part of the record? Okay. All right. Now, so going back to the music, right? All of these people, these fake creators, these fake pioneers, or whatever, say that disco was before hip hop. If they say that to me, I know you had nothing to do with the creation of hip hop. Had nothing to do with it. The genres that I was telling you about was considered rhythm and blues, soul music, all right? And that's what it was considered. And you had the blues, and you had the country, the not country, but the even country, okay, because country became pink later on. Country was our music, okay, which a lot of people don't even know, okay, and jazz, okay. And so those were the genres of music that created hip hop. Now, all of those that say, oh, no, that was disco music, there was that, those people that say that are not musicians. And that's where the catch comes in. If you are a musician, I don't care what you play, you know when the timing of disco music came out, and you'll know what the rhythm of disco music is. You'll know the timing, okay? You'll know the timing. If you're a bass player, you know the timing. If you're a drummer, you know the timing. If you play the keyboards, the piano, you know the timing. Okay? You know the timing of it. And so if you know this, then you know what disco music is. Okay? And why it's disco music. And ah, ah, why it was made for a certain amount of people. Okay? So it wasn't made for, oh, I'm not even gonna go there, all right? But it was, musicians know exactly what I'm talking about. Musicians know exactly what I'm talking about. And so that's when disco was made. It was made like that for a certain people how they dance. Okay, if y'all pick up my book, whatever, like I said, my book got delayed because there was some things, whatever. But in my book, I tell what those things are that creates that tempo and what creates that sound. That's why for us, for us, a lot of us, James Brown is the godfather. He is, because James Brown had our soul. He had our soul and our timing. And that's why it captivated us, because it was us already. It wasn't no other culture, it wasn't no nothing. James Brown was us. And that's why, to me, he was the God. He was the God of it because he had us. Our soul was him. That's what we were, what we are. His soul is us. And that's why we did what we did, especially as kids. Okay, so now we already hit and said why disco was disco and why it was not before the creation of hip hop. So let's go back to Mario. All of those people that say, oh, he had disco in his name, and that's what proves that he was disco. I could count. I was there. For all of those people that talk all that junk, heard about him, but I was there. I could account the amount of disco records that Mario played after disco came out. I could count them. I could count them. Okay. So when people say that his name was in it, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know because Disco King meant exactly that. And y'all still don't get it. Still don't get it. Not the disco music, not the disco music. It was the discotheque. And Mario didn't even play in the discotheque. Ah, oh God, Mario never even. I don't even remember him like even thinking about playing in a discotheque. Okay, and so even that, like, okay, back Studio 54 and all of those Bentleys at one time became disco place or whatever. Silver Shadow and all of those places, those became discotheques because of the music. I mean, they became disco places because of the music. But it was already a discotheque because that the word comes from somewhere else, but they meant the discotheque. Okay, they meant the arena. They meant where it was being played at. Okay, and so that Mario's name had nothing to do with it. Mario took his name. All right. And that's how Black Spades were. We were, oh God, just if y'all were there, all the people that was there are looking at me and say, yo, Booby, you something else, right? Because Mario took that name from somebody and told that person, you can't use that name no more. It's my name. And that's it. The person never used the name again, okay, because he took that name. He's the disco king. He took that name. And this is so funny, all right. Cool D, which was playing in the clubs and playing in the discotheque. All right. So that was his MC at the time, his hype man at the time. And so when he came to our project, and said that he was the disco king, Mario took his name and said, "You not doing that anymore. You're not using that name anymore." And that was the end of him using the name Disco King anymore. So all of those people in the comments, all of those people that go on those interviews, and all of those people that say that, oh, the Disco King Mario used to play the disco there, I wish I had the bell that goes, because that's wrong. And those people probably never saw Mario play music. Point blank, period. A lot of these people that say, oh, they did this, they was with this or whatever, all of those people, a lot of them never even seen Mario play. Never. Okay. So if you really want to say something, if the carriage room was considered a discotheque, there Mario would have been the king of it because Mario was definitely the one who started playing in the carriage rooms. And a lot of people, there's so many of these fake creators and all of that talk about being in the carriage room or knowing about the carriage room, and that's a lie. That's a lie. It's a lie. Just like all the millions of people that say they were at Cool Herc's first jam. They were in there. Let's say that 100 people, let's say 200 people, which is totally false, but let's say 200 people were at that Herc's party. Right? Hold on. Oh man, I can't even do this. Okay, listen, fellas, I got to cut it short right now. And I don't even know how to do it on this right now. Okay, I got to go short and I'm going to come back with a part two.